So lots of people in the English-speaking language have found ways to leave a root. There's the old Irish goodbye. There's the old just handshake, pat on the back. There's all those. But what if I told you there's a way that people have said goodbye or adios or anything along those lines, and might even be said to this day without you knowing it, that involves a plot to overthrow the government, a death cult, bombs, and radioactive material? Well, there just might be, and let's talk about that today, shall we? The year, sometime in the 1940s. The locale, Jamaica. A man named Antoine Cleo has a crazy thought. A thought that no one has ever had. I want to overthrow the government. And so he stops and he thinks, and he goes, well, how am I going to overthrow the government? And he gets this plan. And he goes, I'm going to mind control them. And he goes, well, if I mind control them, then they can't fight back because I'm controlling their mind, and I can get those mind-controlled people to go get other people mind-controlled by me, so then I could overthrow the entire government and even the entire world at some point. And so he has this crazy thought, and he runs with it. He runs with it until he gets to the point where he goes, well, I need a plan about how to mind-control the people. And he thinks, what if I fill the inside of my popsicles with radioactive material? Then everybody would be too weak, and I can mind control them more easily because they're being weakened and also controlled by the radioactive material. He had his plan. He's got it. And he already had a very successful popsicle stand business in Jamaica going. So, he needed to find some radioactive material and fast. So he started to ask around, and he did. This guy somehow got some radioactive material. I don't know how. People, historians aren't even sure, but he got his hands on it and he started making these things. But, there was just one problem. The government. No, you're telling me the government didn't know or care? Is that what you're telling me right now? I think that's what you're telling me. They really didn't care. But there was somebody who did. And of course, as we all know, it's a death cult. Of course, a death cult is the one that happens to catch wind of this and decides to stop it. See, if you didn't think this story could get any wilder than a Jamaican man in the 1940s wanting to brainwash people with popsicles, then you're wrong. A cult known as the Kindred Spirits caught wind of Antoine's plan to start brainwashing the general populace. I'm going to butcher this name. So a man named Dushka Dejvsky and his men, I don't know why he was in Jamaica, this sounds like a very Russian name, but his man and him hatched a plan. So they did the only reasonable thing that you could do in a situation like this. They blew up every single one of Antoine's establishments with bombs. They bombed every single one of Antoine Cleo's places of operation, and the ensuing violence and madness, Antoine Cleo ended up dying in the explosions. So his entire plan and all that just went out the window. Antoine was killed. The resulting explosions were pinned on the now infamous death cult known as the Kindred Spirits and their leader Dushka Dejvsky, and the whole operation ended in the most explosive of circumstances. Now, where does that take us? Or where does that leave us, I guess? Well, after the fallout, word began to spread about just how insane and wild this story was. And how could it not? It has death cults, it has mind control, it has popsicles, it has bombings, and it has Jamaica. You probably could tell. No, you can't. I couldn't tell either. I'm just going to jump to the point. A small group of teenagers in the United States, 4 if the story and the record is to be believed, happened to catch wind of this story and the goings-on in Jamaica. And they started saying a line and a joke amongst themselves, as teenagers do, like inside jokes. And the joke was actually a farewell. These 4 kids in the United States would lean over when they're about to leave somewhere to each other and go, let's blow this popsicle stand. And leave wherever they were. 4 random kids in the United States would start saying this. And saying it enough that it started to get picked up by more and more and more people. Until its first public mention in 1966, when one Diane Kent would be first recorded saying the line in an Iowa newspaper. It took from the 1940s until 1966 for the phrase to be recorded in a public journal. And from there, it had many iterations and variables. You have other ones like, let's blow this pop stand, which was first recorded in 1980. Let's Blow This Popcorn Stand in 1983 in National Lampoon, if you've probably heard that one. And Let's Blow This Joint was as early as 1902, so that one's not really as applicable, but still. But Let's Blow This Popsicle Stand starting out as an inside joke between morbid teenagers in the 1940s, probably around the time of World War II and onward, making a joke about a crazed madman from Jamaica dying in an explosion from trying to take over the world, being killed by a random death cult that gets wind of the story for putting radioactive material in some popsicles. And that is where the story ends. No more madmen running around Jamaica. No more attempts to overthrow the government. I mean, at least not ones that use frozen sweet treats to do so, and no more cults. There's probably cults in Jamaica, what am I saying? And if you want to, you can stop the video right now. And remember every little bit of what I just told you and take it for granted, as so many other people on the internet have. And do today still, as I did days before making this video. Go on. It's okay. You can just go on ahead. You can genuinely, if you want to keep the funny idea of a man blowing up in a popsicle stand in Minecraft, as to why it's funny to say, let's blow this popsicle stand, then go on right ahead. Live in ignorant bliss. Enjoy the fun, zany side of the internet, where if you look up, let's blow this popsicle stand origin, you get multiple articles stating all the same thing about this crazy story. But yeah, it's totally true. Look, they all almost say the exact same thing even. Yep, there's his name. Antoine Cleo. Yep, in the 1940s, Jamaica. Oh, yep, there's kindred spirits. Yeah, 4 teenagers all came together and started saying this morbid joke about his death. Yeah, go on. Just click on another one of the videos on the side of the screen, go ahead. And like, comment, and please subscribe, actually, now that you're here. I did forget to mention that. I put a lot of effort into this video, and I would very much appreciate it. It's a very fun video. Okay, well, I gotta break it here. I gotta stop. If you've listened this long, you can probably tell the runtime of this video is a little bit longer. And I've warned you probably for the last 5-10 seconds, at least, to leave. If you're still here, then I gotta tell you the truth. This story is not real. According to what I can find, there was no one named Antoine Cleo that lived in Jamaica. There wasn't anyone named Dushka Devsky that lived in Jamaica either, or a cult called the Kindred Spirits. That's not real. None of them blew up a bunch of popsicle stand housing and creating radioactive biological weapons to use against the general populace and overthrow the government. I'm sorry. That's why I said to stop watching. And why at the end of the day, you just can't trust somebody on the internet for sources. Like if you go right now on Google or Bing or whatever you want to use, Yahoo News, and type in, let's blow this popsicle stand origin, you will get about 10 different articles from websites that seem legit, telling you the same story. I just told you some other variations of it one way or the other. You can look here on EnglishGrammarLessons.com. It's not real. Here's another one on 1 Minute English. And then here's even another one, StarLanguageBlog.com. The only ones that don't are ones that are actually by etymologists. All from the front page of my Google search. And this is a generally accepted story and meaning that people say. But it's even dumber than that. The source these websites are sourcing is a book titled Evil Minds of the 1900s, with no author given or any other sources other than that. And the original source that other of these sources link to is an Urban Dictionary article. The third entry for Let's Blow This Popsicle Stand. Not the first result, not the second, genuinely the third. A random entry. Somebody named Not Zane made up probably randomly at some time in July of 2004. That is almost 20 years that some people out there might somehow stumble across this story and just accepted it. Because at the bottom of the Urban Dictionary entry, it does say, source, Evil Minds of the 1900s. You could guess and feel my pain when I do a search for this information one day. See the crazy magical story of a popsicle stand blowing up and the imagery of some teens chuckling to each other outside the local drive-in saying, let's blow this popsicle stand. It's great. It feels great too. It felt great. And like an uncovered gem on the internet that I could just talk about. And so I sat down to make this video, and sat down I did. I started doing research myself, and nobody's talked about it. Or if they have, they ask the simple questions of, hey, is this story about this Jamaican guy true? It seems really weird, and I can't find the original source. And then other people, like actual etymologists or just people on Reddit or YouTube or some random forum will come in there and be like, well, technically, let's blow this joint came first. And so then it just evolves into that saying which one came first and why they're all dumb. Popcorn stand, pop stand, you heard all those. The exact dates I've given so far are true outside of the Antoine Cleo bits, though. The first public use of the phrase was in 1966 in an Iowa newspaper. And probably the most well-known is in the genie from Aladdin. Most people that are watching this video probably know it from the genie from Aladdin. But there are so many other iterations and variables of this saying. The people have been blowing for centuries, and they've been leaving places for just as many years. But I just don't know how we got here, genuinely. I feel like I haven't been given the full picture. Is this saying some random iteration of let's blow this joint that only popped up 60 or so years later after the first one? I hope you've learned something from this video. Even if that something is just to not trust random people on the internet, genuinely. And if that's the case, I guess I did my job because I got you all the way here. And hopefully made a video you enjoyed. I hope you've been entertained, and I want to thank you for reaching the very end of the video. Oh so much. If you wouldn't mind liking, commenting what you think, or if you happen to uncover more of this mystery, or if you just want to sit there and say, hey, actually, you know it's not real because you only watched a third of the video, and whenever I said you can just end the video in bliss, I guess you could do that. Or if if this was actually real, and you find a true source of this book, or this Antoine Cleo, or anything else like that, genuinely please let me know. So that being the case, I've been grdn, and I wish you good night, and good luck. Bye-bye. I just want to thank everybody. I especially want to thank my partner, Lexi. She has been there for me through everything, and even if at the end of this video she's the only one that actually stops and listens and watches all the way to the end because she cares about me and supports me, it means the world to me, honey, and I want to thank you. I love you.